listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's The Carrie Diaries After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's The Carrie Diaries After Show.
Who's watching me?
Michael Jackson.
Yes.
Yes. Hey everyone, Bing is for doing, and we are doing another episode of the Carrie Diaries Season 1, Episode 4, Friday Night. I'm your host, Danica Kennedy, and my lovely co-hosts are...
I'm Anik Dufour. Hey guys, I'm Annika Michelle.
And thanks for tuning in. This is a great episode. What did you guys think overall about it?
I really liked it. I thought there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
It was really good. I liked their clothes in it. I know it sounds weird, but it was a Halloween episode, but still I liked how they put everything together and like the costumes for that time period.
Me too. I feel like it was more Sex and the City-ish this episode, and the ratings went up with this episode, which maybe that's why. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But let's dive into our first topic, which is Sebastian's Halloween party. And it was a little bit dramatic in the beginning. Well, not dramatic, but Carrie didn't get invited because he thought it would be awkward to invite her. And the lamest part about his party is that there were no costumes and it was Halloween. What did you guys think about that? I was like, what? Ridiculous.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk. Sorry. I did notice that. I was like, why are these people not wearing costumes when across town everyone who's older is full on dressed up? But that was a little weird. But his party was what I expected to be Sebastian's party. People underage drinking, drugs. It was what I thought it would be. It was good though. I liked it, and there's more to talk about that party for sure.
I think he just wanted to have just a party. I don't think he wanted the whole like costume and stuff like that. He just wanted to like have the booze and have the pot and have the girls, and it was just like a typical high school party.
Yeah, it still looked really fun, but for me, I love dressing up, so it was the whole point of Halloween is the costume.
Yeah.
So I was a little upset about that, but Carrie decided to do the whole New York party thing with Walt, which we'll get to later because that's the juicy part. Yeah. But Sebastian's party, Mouse and Maggie weren't sure if they were going to go because they didn't want to betray Carrie, but they ended up going because Maggie has a wild side and she wanted to get drunk, of course. So they go to the party and they say that he's really rude when they walk in. They're like, wow, he's such a jerk. But I didn't really think he was being that mean. He was just like, oh, the drinks are over there under the table because we don't want to get caught and like have fun. And they were like, wow, he's such a jackass kind of.
I feel like Mouse was more like that than Maggie. Maggie wasn't really like, she was just like, okay, whatever, and she's like, oh, did you see that? Like, he was telling us, like, where he said, hey, nice to see you girls. Like, what, is he being sarcastic? Like, she was reading into it way too much, and he was just like, no, hey, guys, it's nice to see you. Like, I'm sure he wasn't expecting they'd show up, considering that they're Carrie's friends and not his, and he kind of, like, broke up with her, so.
Yeah, and I like the whole where him and her, Sebastian and Mouse, went ahead and played Pac-Man. So it kind of got her like little competitive streak out. And then she kind of let loose. Even before she smoked the pot, she kind of let loose, and she ended up having fun.
I think that was their bonding moment, the Pac-Man game, because they had the whole, she has her competitive side, and he played the game with her, and then they were talking about their families, and one thing led to another, and then she tried pot for the first time. And she was really funny when she was high. I thought she was like, I need chips, I need something crunchy. And it was really funny because she's such a goody two-shoes usually.
Yeah, like you wouldn't expect it. And I love how when she's smoking the pot, like that's right when the cop comes in, of course. When like the good girl who doesn't ever do that stuff is right when the cop comes in. But he didn't see it with her, so.
It was really funny too because she takes like a baby hit and then
Yeah.
like kind of throws it at him like, oh my gosh, I just took a hit and there's a cop here, and freaks out, and then everyone else is like, oh, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Don't freak out.
It's Officer Burns is his name, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Burns, and he was the guy that Maggie was fooling
Sleeping
around
with.
with on the side, and he actually ended up at the party afterwards. He actually ended up breaking up with her. What do you guys think?
Well, I thought he was kind of being a hypocrite because he's going there and he's trying to break up this party and because there's underage drinking, but at the same time, he's sleeping with a high schooler, which could get him in jail and he could lose his job. So she kind of persuades him not to break up the party and puts their relationship, whatever their relationship is, on the line because of that, kind of to save the party.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good move because who knew if there was going to be a future in that anyways. And
Right.
it was risky for his career and everything. So I think it worked out for the best.
Yeah. Probably better that they don't keep sleeping with each other because of the age thing and that he doesn't want to risk his job. But I like how she kind of used that against him. Like, so that, because, like, I feel like if that wasn't going on, the party was over, he was going to break it up and done. But, like, she was like, no, because you can you can lose your job, you can go to jail, and you're sleeping with a high schooler. This is exactly why you shouldn't break up this party. Because I feel like if he did, like, she would have gone and done something, and it would have been over for him.
Would she be that mean, though? Do you think so? Because I thought about that, like, it's almost like a scare tactic to put that out there, like, hey, I'll tell everyone about our relationship and you're gonna get in trouble, or you let the party happen.
Yeah.
But do you think she would actually do that?
I think she would. I wouldn't put anything against her.
Yeah. Scary.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. I'm like, I could see it coming out one way. I don't think she'd go like to his boss straight away. Like, I think it might just kind of slip up in conversation or something, like, you know, drunk night or something, like, oh, by the way, I slept with your boss, or I slept with whatever, and then done.
Yeah, and there's so many other things going around on Halloween. I'm sure that he could just go to another party and break it up and still have work to do, that he didn't have to ruin that one.
Right. It's true. And, like, I feel like how many years is their age difference? Because if he's, like, a cop and she's obviously still in high school, like, when did he... Because they don't let you go out by yourself, right, when you get in the academy. So you clearly weren't in the academy. Like, there has to be a bigger age difference than they look. Does that make sense?
I know, he looks really young.
He looks
it looks
really
like
young.
I'm thinking like maybe 4
20,
years.
but
Right. I feel like
Like about
he's
4 or 5
actually
years.
older, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny. I was like, oh, okay.
they don't look that far apart. Like, she looks like she could be 18 and he
Yeah.
could be
Yeah.
20, but I think their characters are supposed to be more
Younger.
like 15 and 25 or something.
Yeah,
You know, like
something
a big gap.
ridiculous. Yeah.
But that's pretty much it that I think happened at the party. Those are all the main topics. Did we miss anything?
I kind of like the way Sebastian and Mouse kind of like bonded over not only the Pac-Man, but over like the pot where he brought her home.
Yeah.
Or he brought her to Carrie's at the end of the night.
And that was really nice of him because I think it's going to make Carrie like him more. Like, oh, he's such a nice guy. He's looking out for my friends when they're getting in trouble, even though Mouse doesn't really get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I thought it was nice that he brought her to Carrie's instead of her parents.
Her own
'cause
house.
obviously her parents are really strict. They're from a different country. They raised all this money, want her to go to Harvard,
Yeah.
and she has a lot of pressure on her. So if he brought her back to her house or his house, it would have looked really bad. So
Yeah.
I think that was probably the smartest thing to do.
And he has a nice ass.
Yes, it's true. They were all checking it out.
And Mouse brought it up a couple times in the episode. She was checking that ass out.
So funny.
It was funny. Well, since we're talking about Sebastian's Party, we might as well just talk about everything that happens in Connecticut just a little bit. There was the whole Doritt and her dad
Yes.
dispute. Well, they're always going to be, you know,
Butting
fighting, butting heads. And then they kind of had a nice moment together, though. In the beginning, he catches her with spray paint and toilet paper in her bag, and she has like all this makeup on and the crimped hair, and she's trying to be a badass. And then she's really mean to him. Oh, I love his Chewbacca costume too. I just wanted to
Yeah,
live
that's
there.
so funny. And the little kids took off running.
He scared kids, and then he didn't have candy because Doritt took it all and ate it all, like 2 whole bags worth.
While watching Poltergeist.
Yes.
Can't forget the Poltergeist.
Yes. And her dad was like, oh, it's a scary movie. I'll watch it with you. And she's like, no, I want to hang out by myself. I don't want to hang out with you. And she's really bitchy to him.
Yeah.
And then later at the end, she's like, Dad, I can't sleep. Do you want to hang out with me? And I thought that was really cute.
That was really cute. And you can tell, like, when they're on the couch together and she's just, like, laying down, he's sitting on the couch and the TV's on, but she's asleep. Like, he was like, wow, like, she actually came to me. And, like, you can tell, like, even though they weren't talking and she's fast asleep, like, he was kind of, like, happy that in that moment, like, she was scared and she was, like, again, like, daddy's little girl kind of thing, you know? Like, save me.
That was cute. It was a touching moment.
I know. And it's so nice for him, too, because the whole rest of the time, she's, like, the worst child.
They're always, like, arguing and fighting and bickering, and now, you know, she's finally like, I need you.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to our next topic, I wanted to bring up iTunes. If you guys are watching this on AFTERBUZZTV.com or if you're watching it on YouTube, know that you can also go to iTunes and check us out. Just type in the Carrie Diaries and hit subscribe. Be sure to check out all our other shows too. We have so many shows that we do here at AfterBuzz, and when you check out the Carrie Diaries, be sure to give us 5 stars. We love 5 stars, and we love hearing your guys' comments. Be sure to comment and tell your friends, because that's how we grow here at AfterBuzz. Just keep spreading the word and we'll get more followers and we'll have more shows. But be sure to check out all our other shows too, because no matter what genre you like, we probably have a show for something you like.
We cover it all.
Yep, we cover it all. And we all host other shows. I also host The Lying Game and Vanderpump Rules.
And I host Beauty and the Beast.
And I do Snicky and JWoww, and I did Don't Trust the Bee when it was on, and I'm bummed that it got canceled.
Oh, it got canceled.
No.
So sad. I liked that show.
I did too. Oh, ABC.
Oh, ABC. And that's why ratings are important, and that's why we need our comments. And
exactly.
Stars, and also, I wanted to mention that you guys need to check out the AfterBuzz TV show on our website, AfterBuzzTV.com. You guys can get some really cool t-shirts for men and women. You can get some mugs. You can get some bags. Check out our merchandise, and it's from American Apparel, so you know that it's good.
And kids, too.
Kids, too, yes.
Kids, too.
So be sure to check it out. And let's move on to our next topic, Walt's sexuality.
Oh, before we move on, did anybody else besides me catch that Footloose comment at the beginning?
In the beginning of the episode?
With Footloose, if
I don't know the reference.
Danica missed a reference, but because I grew up in the 80s, I'm aging myself again. I actually caught it. Sarah Jessica Parker, who of course was the original Carrie in Sex and the City, was actually in Footloose.
Oh, is that what? Okay.
Yeah, so
I caught the Footloose thing, but I was like, okay. I just thought it was like, you know, a movie from the time, but
yeah, I didn't get it either. I was like, every single episode there's like these 80s references, and I'm like, I know it's a reference and I'm supposed to get it, but I wasn't alive, so I didn't get it.
That's hilarious.
So
I
embarrassing.
catch the references.
Well, that's good. Yeah, it's a good thing, definitely. So Walt's sexuality.
Yes.
Lots of problems with that in this episode.
What do you think about that? Let me see. I think that's, well, he's trying to make it so that he's not gay and
not accepting himself.
He's not accepting it, and I think he's gonna grow. Hopefully he's gonna learn to accept it and become a better person. What about you?
Honestly, in the beginning of the episode, I forgot that he's hiding that he's gay. Like when they were all sitting in the diner, 4 of them, and they're like talking about what they're doing for Halloween, I was like, oh, it's 3 girlfriends and their gay best friend, how cute, you know? And then I was like, oh no, wait, he is sort of like the gay best friend, but like not out, and he kind of dated one of the girls, and so, but then I literally like forgot that he was pretending to be straight. Was pretending to be straight. I was like, oh, that's such a cute little like diner, they're all like sitting together talking and whatever. But then yeah, I have to say, I knew though when they were sitting outside and he like grabbed his hand, he's like, feel my heart, to Bennett, I was like, oh, here it comes, he's gonna put a move on him. And lo and behold, he planted a kiss on him.
And he freaked out. Completely freaked out, which I thought they were going to kiss and then he was going to be super into it because he liked that guy. But he was like, I'm not gay. Like, no, I have a girlfriend back home, and very defensive about it. And then he ran off. Oh, and he was on ecstasy, so that didn't help.
It didn't help.
Which also, I thought he would be more into it because he was on ecstasy. I thought he would be like more down. Yeah. But I guess not. What did you guys think?
I actually I was excited about the kiss.
Me too.
When Bennett kissed Walt, I was excited, and apparently we may have been the only ones because he did take off running, and I think it just scared him a little bit. He may have finally realized that he is gay, and now he's just in denial.
And I love how when Carrie was saying, "Can you watch him? I have to go take care of Larissa," and then she's like, "Where did he go? Why'd you like?" And Bennett wouldn't tell Carrie why he left. He was just like, "Oh, we were just talking, and I don't know, maybe it was something I said," or like he didn't tell Carrie that he kissed her. And at that moment, Carrie still thought Bennett was cute and into girls. So I just thought that was interesting. Yeah, that like he didn't actually say it, and he's openly gay. But then maybe he didn't want to tell her. But I feel like Carrie kind of already knows.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you guys that. I think Carrie's the only one that does know that Walt is gay, but I'm not 100% sure. Does she know? Did he tell her?
I think she probably has like an inkling that he is. I don't think she full on knows like, oh yeah, he's definitely, but I think she has a feeling that he is.
I think so too. I feel like she knows, and Mouse and Maggie don't, and they are completely oblivious, and I think that she's the only one.
I feel like if Maggie knew, she wouldn't want to. Well, they hooked up at the end of the episode, so I feel like if she knew, she wouldn't be into it like that. But.
Yeah. I thought he would be more into that guy, too, because he was
cute.
Yeah,
he was definitely
cute, but
he was definitely
fan of his. Because they go up to him, and he's like, "Oh, my gosh, you're that writer from that magazine. I'm such a big fan," and, like, kind of all over him in a way. And then he freaked out. And then there was another sort of gay dramatic incident. Once he runs away, there's these two gay guys walking down the street, and these two other guys come up and start bullying them, and Walt comes up and stands up for them and says like, "What are you doing? Like, don't do that to them." And they run away, and then they're like, "Why are you one of them?" And he's like, "No, I'm not gay. Like, I'm just standing up for them." So he obviously is, and he cares about them, but he's just so afraid to admit it, even when he's in New York where you're supposed to be yourself and everything's fine, you can do whatever you want. But I think it's his confidence he's lacking, and hopefully he comes out of his shell.
And I think it's really interesting that they went to the party as not a couple, but they were dressed as Prince Charles and Princess Diana, which, by the way, I was like, this is horrible. I forgot this is supposed to be set in the 80s, and I'm like, why are they going as Prince Charles and Diana? Hell, it's Kate Middleton and Prince William. I'm like, you guys are like a royal wedding behind here. We have a more recent one, people. But then I forgot, of course, it's back in the day when Kate and they weren't married or whatever. But it was just funny. I was like, why are they going as that royal couple? Come on, people. But I just thought it was interesting that they went. I mean, they weren't together, obviously. Like, he was going to help Carrie at first get with Bennett, but that he even, like, decided to go as something that'll make him seem like he's into girls. Yeah. As a couple. Well, let's just talk about the party now. That's our next topic, and we might as well. But Carrie had a crush on that guy, and she was really trying to talk to him. But she got sidetracked because Larissa was a hot mess and she had to go take care of her. Yeah. So that didn't really work out. And then she finally realized later, oh, he's gay because
apparently Larissa's not his type.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
Or women, for that matter.
Yeah. Right. And then she's like, oh, whoops.
Yeah. Whoopsie.
But I think it's good that she found out by him saying that instead of having him say like, oh, Walt's gay and doesn't know it. Yeah. Kind of calling him out.
Yeah. It was nice that he didn't like do that to her. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know if he knew that she knew. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't think so. Because she didn't know that he was gay, so maybe she has like a bad gaydar.
And maybe she's young, and she was kind of sheltered, so.
Yeah, well, the party looked really fun, and she has her big poofy sleeves princess outfit, and then everyone else is like, in their slutty outfits, on drugs and drinking, and they totally don't fit in, but this episode really made me think Larissa's gonna have a huge impact on Carrie, because it reminds me of all those Sex and the City episodes where they go to parties like that and they're, you know, in their mid-30s.
Yeah.
So I feel like, oh, this is the very beginning of when she's put into this atmosphere because she's so naive and young right now. But that was her first big thing. And Larissa gave Walt and Carrie ecstasy, but she threw hers on the ground and said, like, no way. And then Walt just took his, like, whatever. We're here.
Yeah. I think that going back to the big impact that Larissa will have on Carrie, I think that she will have a huge impact on her, especially, you know, since she looks like she could be like a role model for Carrie. Maybe not the best role model Carrie should have, but I think that's where it comes into play in the character that Carrie is in Sex and the City.
Yeah. And she kind of has to be a mother figure to Larissa in this episode because she's such a hot mess. She took acid and 2 ecstasy pills and she was drinking and then she was clucking like a hen and then she tried to jump off the roof and Carrie had to stop her because she thought she was a bird and she was trying to fly. So she took her to her room and made her a bird's nest. I thought that was really
so
cute. She's like, here's your nest with like feather boas and sweaters.
Yeah,
I was
people's
like,
purses.
So cute. So she kind of had to babysit her. And then once she found out that Walt was missing, she ran off. And then she comes back later, and this guy that looks like he's from the musical Cats is making out with her while she's passed out. And Carrie's like,
bizarre.
No. Way too creepy. You're like molesting her.
And he's like, oh yeah, she's responding. And it's like, no, she's talking about some like bird thing because she thinks you're a bird. She doesn't know what you're doing to her. Like, you need to get off her.
She's unconscious mumbling.
Yeah.
So not a good sign.
And that's where Bennett came in. We were talking and
To save the day.
To save the day. He came in to save the day, and he was a Prince Charming, even though it was in another way.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like this party is the start of Carrie getting a little wilder. Even though she didn't get wild, she was sober and she was looking out for her friends the whole time. She even said something like, oh, Walt, you're going to have more fun than me. I should go look for my pill on the ground and pick it back up and stuff. So I feel like she's warming up to that whole party atmosphere. And they had an interesting conversation, Larissa and Carrie, where they were talking about how people are islands. Do you remember that part? And everything that Carrie loves about New York, the fun, the craziness, how everyone could be who they want to be, is what Larissa hates about herself and her life. Yeah. And I thought that was really interesting because Larissa chooses to do the things that she does, but she feels like there's always some sort of competition with everyone else because everyone there is so cool. They're wearing the coolest fashion and they're doing amazing things with their lives that she feels like she can't live up to it, even though she's fabulous.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the whole island conversation?
I think that moment, like, you can tell, I mean, Larissa was a drunk mess, but even in that craziness, she was, like, making sense and, like, being honest. And they say you become honest when you're drunk. But anyways, she was saying, like, how unhappy she was. And you can tell that Carrie was, like, thinking, like, oh, my gosh, like, everything I love about this girl is what's making her miserable. Like, maybe it's not all what it's cracked up to be. Maybe I just had like a fantasy in my head about her life and it's not what, you know what I mean? So you can tell it sunk into her and she was like, like a kind of like, kind of getting what she was saying. So
yeah, how it's like cool. The whole like grass is greener.
Exactly.
Type of, you think that, one person has like the best life and then you end up noticing and like realizing that it's the opposite.
Yeah. I still think it's hilarious that Larissa doesn't get how young Carrie is because it's so obvious to me, well, to us because we know. But it's just funny because she'll say things like, oh, you act like you've never had sex before. And she's like, well, compared to you, I pretty much haven't.
Right.
And stuff, things like that. But it's like obvious that she's so naive.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that when Bennett even asked her to tell him about herself, she was like, oh, I'm kind of boring because what is she going to say? I'm in high school. Like, what do you want? I live at home. I have like anything she says is going to make her sound her age. And I know she probably didn't want that. So she was like, oh, I have a boring life. I grew up here. She talked about her childhood, not current life. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's smart because then she could be whoever she wants to be, but she's not lying at the same time.
Right.
It gives her a little wiggle room to be like, oh, I'm from here. Where are you from? Like, turn the question around.
Conversation, yeah.
Without admitting how she actually lives her life.
Exactly.
I loved in the beginning, this is so off topic, but since we're kind of like wrapped up with the New York thing, when they're in the hallways at school, Carrie's talking about how in high school it's the most emotional time in your life, and you have like all these things like where you're stuck with the people that make you so emotional inside this place for like 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. That's how it was in high school.
Yeah.
It's like a prison.
It
kind
is.
of, you know, because you're like, you make me miserable, yet I'm still stuck with you.
Yeah, day in, day out, every day, you're with these people.
And it's so weird, especially if you have a guy that you like or something. At least for me in high school, it's like, if you like the guy, you're like, oh, I'll walk this way to class so I accidentally bump into them.
Exactly.
And then if you like break up or something awkward happens,
You're just like,
you try to avoid them, and then they're everywhere. You're like, oh man, I walked this way so I wouldn't run into you.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was funny that they kept running into each other and they're avoiding each other. So I thought that was funny. But do you guys have anything else you want to wrap up before we get to predictions?
Let's see. Do we have news and gossip? I
We
believe
do.
Annika has news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Well, we mentioned earlier that this did get one of the highest ratings on CW, so that was really good. But fun news and gossip, Austin Butler, actually, who plays Sebastian, did an interview with Glamour magazine in the February issue. And he said that, well, he's dating Vanessa Hudgens, and he said that on his spare time, like when he's not shooting, he likes to record music in his home music studio. And his biggest influences is the Beatles. And also, his biggest pet peeve, ladies out there who want a chance to go out with him, is if you're mean to waiters at restaurants. So he says that anytime he's out with somebody and if they're mean to the waiter or the server, like, it's done. It's a big turn off. He's not into it. So probably means Vanessa's been nice to everyone that they've been out with.
Be nice or they'll spit in your food.
Yeah.
Just be nice
Exactly.
to the people who serve you your food.
Yeah.
It's just interesting because you wouldn't think that would be his biggest pet peeve, but that's nice to see that, like, it makes him sound like a really nice guy, you know?
I've heard about that from a lot of celebrities, actually. Well, I know, like, Chelsea Handler, for
Right.
example, she always tips really well because
Yeah.
they've had jobs like that before.
They know what it's like.
They know. A lot of actors have been waiters and waitresses,
Yeah.
so they're like, oh, you have to be nice to these people because
Exactly.
they know what it's like.
Yeah.
And there was a reference too, as you pointed out, about the Beatles in the episode, because you said that
he's
a
the
big
big Beatles fan.
He said, can't buy me love.
Yeah.
'cause
Yeah.
He buys everything else.
Very true. So that was the fun news and gossip for the week.
Yay.
Do you have any more news and gossip?
I don't.
No?
I don't.
No more. Let's do some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right. Well, my first prediction is, well, if you Google the Carrie Diaries, there's all these rumors going around saying the show's going to be canceled. But my prediction is that it won't be canceled because the ratings went back up from last night's episode. Fingers crossed it stays on TV because I like it. I'm actually a really
too.
big fan.
Everybody needs to tune in and watch.
Yes,
Yeah,
the Carrie
really.
Diaries and the
And here.
After Show.
Yes.
Yes.
My prediction is that I believe he, like, you know who I'm talking about, Walt, is going to eventually come into his own and realize, you know, that he is gay and that he shouldn't lead Maggie on anymore because, you know, they had a little thing going on tonight. And so I think that's hopefully this season.
She's gonna be heartbroken when that
Yeah.
happens too. Ooh.
Well, at least it's better than not having him leave for another guy
Yeah, that's
or
true.
for another girl. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's better for him to leave for another guy than another
that's
girl.
what I meant. Yes.
True. My prediction, I kind of think, well, my prediction is that Austin Butler will come in here for an interview. But other than that, I
I'm fine with
believe
that.
that I think, like, he's trying to not win her over because he did break up with Carrie, but I kind of feel like he's doing things to kind of make her see like, oh, I'm not as bad as you thought I was, or however bad your dad thought I was, you know? So I want them to get back together. I want to see that. And I don't know if this is going to happen because I don't know, it's pretty still early at night, but I feel like maybe Maggie will walk in on Walt having sex with a guy and find out.
I could see that happening.
Like wanting to surprise him or something and be like, oh, well, I came over and then surprise.
Whoops. Well, that's it for our show tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Danica Kennedy, and you can find me at Danica Kennedy on Twitter and Facebook and at danicakennedy.com.
And I'm Anik Dufour, and you can find me on Twitter at JustAnik.
I'm Annika Michelle, and you can find me on Facebook.com/AnnikaMichelle1 or Twitter, Annika_Michelle.
Thanks for watching.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.